G'day guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Today I'm going to be taking you through the drawer system that I just built for this car. There's three reasons why I decided to build one rather than buy one. One was dimensions. So a lot of the drawers that you can buy already pre-made, like Kings or XTM or whatever, they were just too big to fit side by side in the Forester. Have two drawers in. So that was one reason I decided to build my own. I use ply as well, so it's a lot lighter than some of the aluminium ones, although they're a bit more rigid and sturdy. The plywood's just fine for me. And the third reason is I don't really care if it's neat. I made these, they didn't have to be perfect. I just wanted something that was had good function, fit, was going to be what I wanted it to be basically. It also meant that I could customize it, which is good. So I'm going to take you through that, give you some tips and tell you some of the things that I did that didn't work out that well. So stay tuned. So the first thing that I did when thinking about this and deciding I was going to make my own, actually before I even decided that, I just did some rough measurements. I'll chuck them on the screen for you now. So I measured out the inside of the cab. I did some rough measurements just on my iPad by hand about what the dimensions would need to be, how much wood that would end up using, and then I could calculate costs and all kinds of stuff like that. So I just made a rough plan, and to be fair, I'm pretty impressed with myself that with that planning, it fits the way it does. It fits super snug in there. It's just perfect size, exactly what I wanted. Jaw shuts just flush. There's been a few adjustments I've had to make, but that's just because of my rushing through it and so I need to fix it up. First thing I did when building it was to cut the bottom piece, which is the big rectangle, as well as the walls and the rear wall to sit together like a box. One issue that I actually had right early on was that my jigsaw broke just as I started to cut some of the first pieces. So I did make some of the bigger cuts with my jigsaw, which didn't really work that well. And so, on the walls and the bottom, there's a few bits that are just absolutely hammered on the edges from the jigsaw, ripping up the edges of the plywood cuts. But I did manage to find a good jigsaw on sale with a battery pack that I already had. So, it was super cheap and it did the job for the rest of it. The cuts were way better once I started using that rather than my circular saw. So making the box just provided me then the space to be able to measure everything else, double check it. When making this box, I did cut out an accurate, a piece of wood that was accurate to the measurements that I needed. And so then to make sure everything was square, I measured it alongside the inside of the drawers, made sure everything was the right distance apart. So first off, we've got the fridge slide on the left. The reason I had the fridge on the left, partly because I already had it there, but more so because I've actually got the charging for the dual battery system on the right hand side. It's just sitting down behind there. And so the dual battery is going to sit probably just about here or possibly down behind. And here's the charging cable for it. It comes from the alternator. So I need the dual battery to sit on the right, which meant for the fridge to be able to go fully back, it needed to be on the left. But I'm totally happy with that. Just take a moment to show you guys the slides that I'm using. So these just Goliaths from Bunnings. I think it was like $60 for two of the lockable ones. They're cheaper if you don't have the ends on there, or these ones where push in, push out. But yeah, so they're 900 mil. Oh no, well they're 600 mil, and extend to. I forget how much they extend to. Might be double that. But yeah, they lock at that out position, and they also then push in, then lock in like that. So as you can see, I've started attaching them. So this is the piece of timber that's going to go in the middle, in between. So what I'm going to do, because of the plywood can be a bit bowed, and so there can be a gap in between depending on how it is. This piece is a bit bowed here. I'm going to attach to here a larger piece of wood, a thicker piece of wood. It's like this, but thicker out. And that way I'm just going to then attach this bit on top, and I don't have to worry about diverging rails if it's bowed or anything. As long as they can go on the same track, then it'll be fine. I've got it on a double locking slide here, just with these little tabs to open it. It's on a piece of spec-right timber here that I had lying around. So I forget how many litres that fridge is, but ARB, but it's a perfect size for what I needed. Initially, I had this sitting up higher and had little bits of wood under here that it was sitting on. But as you can see, this is pretty close to the roof, and it was like 2 millimeters too tall that when the door came down, this knocked on here and pushed on it. So all I had to do was just take those off, and I just had to screw these runners directly to the wood, which has worked out fine in the end. I just was cautious of doing it first. So the drawer slides the fridge is on are 90 kilo Goliath drawer slides, lockable, heavy duty supposedly, from Bunnings. I think they're about $60. So I could have ordered some online, maybe found them cheaper, but the convenience of being able to grab them from Bunnings was just easier. But yeah, they're rated to 90 kilos, so technically I should be able to sit on this thing and that should be fine. I don't want to try it though, because yeah, I don't want to break it. But it'll be more than enough for the fridge, or possibly if the fridge is in there for a cutting board on another outing or something like that. I beeswax coated the spec-right timber, so that's coated with beeswax just from Bunnings. And that's nice, just a protective surface to keep it from getting damaged or getting stained or water or anything like that. So one issue I ran into when I was first doing the shell was that I had actually measured the walls to be short for the fridge slide and then 2 tall ones to be able to put a top on. But the way I designed it, I had to screw in, you'll see in this video I'll show, I had to have it flush with the middle wall and then on top of the second wall. So the right hand wall was actually shorter than the middle, and I had to screw it in from the side on the left hand side of that top plate. But the issue was I couldn't do that with the fridge slide there, so I need to rethink it. So I ended up going with just a mount sitting on top. However, then the wall on the right was too short, so I did do a bit of a dodgy to fix it. But like I said, it doesn't need to be neat. I wasn't about having it super clean and perfect. So yeah, that's the best. I couldn't be bothered cutting out another wall and going through all that effort. So but that was one issue with the way I designed the walls initially when I created that shell. So I'm going to start making the drawers now. It's possibly going to be quite difficult, or just have a few bumps in the road, because I've noticed that the inside of these, that one's bowed out, and this one is also bowed out, and so I'm just wondering how the tracks are going to go with the sliders I got for pushing in. They're probably going to be on a sly angle. They're not particularly straight, so we'll see how we go, but it might pose a bit of difficulty. But I'm going to make 2 drawers, boxes to go in there and chuck them on drawer slides. Next up, we've got both of our drawers. They're both on push to open and close slides. They're rated to 45 kilos. They're a bit cheaper than the lockable ones, so I went with them for the drawers because they didn't need to be lockable. Like the fridge is going to weigh more, whereas the drawers probably won't. They'll be all right. So they're on those. They're also the Goliath brand, if I didn't say that already. So as you can hear, they lock in place when you open and close them. So that's now locked. The drawers I didn't actually have too many issues with. They were both fairly easy to make and line up. The only issue I did have was this right hand side drawer was just sliding like very stiff, like it was rubbing on something. Originally I thought it was that the bottom of the drawer was bowed. I'll show a video here. And I thought that the wood touching was the issue. Turns out actually that the base plate of the drawer was actually rubbing on the exterior side of the drawer slides, and so as I was sliding it in, it was just rubbing on that metal, causing it to be stiff. So all I had to do was just trim that in slightly more, maybe an extra 0.5 mil, and that was fine. Now they slide easy as, which is good. But yeah, one of the downsides to using plywood is that some of the pieces have been bowed, so they've been harder to work with. I am planning to put handles on here, but for the time being I can just push in and grab it. But yes, I'm planning to put a handle on there and a handle on this one as well, so I can push them in and pull them out. As you can see, I have stained it. So I stained it with a Merbau stain and varnish today from Bunnings. I put extra layers on the top just to make sure that this is extra sturdy. It's come out actually looking okay. but I think I need to add some more on the front. As you can see, they just look a bit, yeah, bit weaker. The Merbau needs multiple layers on pine to look good. Otherwise it just kind of looks cheap and faded like this does, all patchy and funny because the plywood absorbs it. I went for a stain and varnish just because I wanted to seal it. Not just that though, I want it to look a bit nicer because the plywood can look a bit dingy. So yeah, adding a bit of color, a bit of life makes it look slightly more upper class, but also adds the extra layer of protection from moisture and also from, yeah, anything that goes on top. It's not going to scratch and damage easily. You may be wondering how I decided to attach it. So I actually saw this online. I thought it was probably the best way to do it for me. Rather than screwing down into the floor or underneath the back of the Subaru. It's just styrofoam, so that's not really any help. But there are 4 tie down points in the boot. And so what I've done is I've attached turnbuckles, and now I've drilled in hoops on the side, little yeah, loops to sit there. The turnbuckles have hooks in them, and then you can just adjust that to tighten it down. So I've got one on all 4 corners of it that just pulls it down and centers it in. So yeah, that's a great way to secure it, and they're steady as. Well, that's it guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna have to finish now because the sun's about to set. In future videos I'll probably talk about how they're doing, what things I would do differently, what was good, yeah, and just do a bit of a review on them. So keep an eye out for that. See you guys.